Hi, today we're going to be talking about sentence pattern number 1, or what on earth to do with the semicolon. I know that you want to improve your writing. One way to do that is to improve your sentence fluency. You don't want all of your sentences to sound the same or to have the same pattern. Sentence fluency gives us a great way to make our writing way more interesting for the reader. We're first going to go over what defines a sentence. We'll look at ways to combine sentences using sentence pattern number 1, give a little warning about watching out for subordinate conjunctions, and practice using sentence pattern number 1 in clever and interesting ways. First of all, we have to figure out what a sentence is. A sentence, as I'm sure you learned long ago, is a subject plus a verb. Marcy walks, Sam waddles, Kelsey saunters, Alex lumbers. The great thing about the verb to walk in English is that we have so many words available to us. Word choice in English is phenomenal. It's a great thing to talk about. You can dawdle, you can hike, you can tromp, you can stomp, you can traipse. All of these words make your writing more interesting. But what if you have two sentences that you want to link together? Two ideas that are so connected that you want to somehow indicate that connection. You want to follow sentence pattern number 1. Subject plus verb, semicolon, subject plus verb. You can see the S plus V shorthand that we'll be using throughout our study. Patrick Sharp left the Chicago Blackhawks to go and play for the Dallas Stars. I cried for days. These two sentences are inexorably linked. How can I show that? Well, let's look at the first example. Patrick Sharp left the Blackhawks to go and play for the Dallas Stars. I cried for days. It has a certain rhythm to it, but it's probably not conveying just the idea that we want, and it's not grammatically correct. The second one is grammatically correct. Patrick Sharp left the Blackhawks to go and play for the Dallas Stars, and I cried for days. The coordinating conjunction "and" combines those two sentences, but it doesn't quite give the emotion that I wanted to convey with this sentence. The "and" just kind of makes it seem like then there was this other thing I did. Let's show the connection and use sentence pattern number 1. Patrick Sharp left the Blackhawks to go and play for the Dallas Stars, semicolon. I cried for days. Here's the beauty of the semicolon. It connects ideas and sentences, and it hints at causation. Here's another example. She made him dinner, a complete sentence. She is the subject, made him dinner is the verb. We have another sentence. He died 2 hours later. He is the subject, died 2 hours later is the verb. If we want to show causation between these two events, we use a semicolon and sentence pattern number 1. She made him dinner. He died 2 hours later. Now be careful here, because you want to watch out for subordinate conjunctions. You might know these as the awubis words. These words, when used at the beginning of a clause, make the clause a dependent one, thus not a complete sentence in and of itself. If you start a sentence with one of these words, you are not going to use a semicolon before you get to that independent clause. After we left the party, I wanted to go to the beach. In that particular sentence, you're not going to use a semicolon because after we left the party begins with the subordinate conjunction and is thus dependent, so you put the comma in. But look what happens when you add the semicolon. We left the party. I wanted to go to the beach. The meaning of the sentence has changed. It is not just that we left the party, but I wanted to go to the beach, and maybe that's why we left the party. The next example shows something similar. Because the beach was too crowded, you thought we should go home and watch some videos. When you use the sentence pattern number 1 and put the semicolon between those two sections, eliminating that subordinate conjunction, you get a different sentence. The beach was too crowded. You thought we should go home and watch some videos. Now you have a small assignment. Read this article by Ben Dolnick that appeared in the New York Times. It is a rather impassioned defense of the semicolon, even though, as the article points out, the writer, Kurt Vonnegut, had no respect for the semicolon and felt that it represented absolutely nothing and only showed that you had been to college. Just remember, each part of sentence pattern number 1 needs to have a subject and a verb in each section. So subject plus verb, semicolon, subject plus verb. Watch out for those subordinate conjunctions. And use sentence pattern number 1 when you want to link two closely related ideas. Pay attention to flow. Read your sentences aloud and have some fun.